Mary, can I be blunt? Today we're going to be talking about further information about the public lands that are not for sale, but in the last 24 hours after we submitted the first podcast of this series of Our Land is Not for Sale, our public land is not for sale, I repeat. I have my lovely guest here today, again, to continue the conversation, which is so time sensitive. Please get ready to hit that share button and send this out to everyone. This is not state divided. This is national. We need to educate each other. So without further ado, here is my lovely guest.
Hey guys, I'm glad to be here again today. So we're talking about the public lands again today, and just the bill in general. I think that the biggest part is we can all really agree on the public lands should not be sold whatsoever. What we did find out is they did take out the United States Forest Service land, so that won't be in it. But we do have the BLM lands up for sale. So let's see. Sorry, guys. There's a lot to be.
We're going to be covering a lot, and you will see visuals of what we're talking about.
So, the BLM lands will be trimmed between 612,500 up to 1.2 million acres. So that they're trying to be able to get these lands that are within 5 miles of a populated area. Now, there was an interesting thought process that went into this by someone else that I thought was brilliant, that my mind didn't go to. And it was, if you're building within 5 miles and you've populated that area, that means they have 5 more miles past that area after that, and it just continues to grow, because once they build in that 5 mile area radius, it opens up another range. 5 miles after that, so they can just keep going. It doesn't stop.
And it's 2,500 people that need to be in that town's population. But that doesn't mean once you build the land, you don't build the 200 or 2,500 people. So our town currently, that the voice that you're hearing and myself, we live in a town that's under 2,500, I believe. I'm not sure of the population, but ultimately the towns around us have 2,500, so then we would be affected. And we do have gaps in between. We have frontage roads. Those roads, nothing's built on. Mm-hmm. Goodbye. And Walmart's not coming in. We don't know what is technically coming in, because the logistics of this bill do not specify if corporate or individuals will be buying this. It only specifies within a 5 mile range, and it's free range. So please take it again.
Yeah. So as of right now, our voices have been heard by 3 states that are more than willing to deny this bill. As of right now, Idaho, Colorado, and Washington senators are against selling our land. That is amazing. But 3 out of 50 states, that's not good. That means that even though the people are the majority saying we don't want this, they aren't listening to us. So that means that you need to be even more paying attention to what is happening in our government, because they don't care what we want. And they have made it very clear with trying to sell our land and then saying, okay, no, we heard you, we're not going to do this. And then going back and saying, oh, we'll just go ahead and sell BLM land. That's still our land. They didn't hear us. They don't care.
No. And actually, if you could point out right ahead about what resources are in just our area right now, because that's quite eye-opening.
Yeah, definitely. The resources are copper, lithium, rare earth elements, and gold.
And gold.
So we have all of those in the western United States.
And they're used for technology, all of those
all
resources.
All of those. So that just shows me that this is really a land grab for just more of our
stability in our resources. That's basically it. Take it and profit. This is what it is. And the 2 major components of corporate America that are using it right now to using this bill to basically take away citizens' rights are Microsoft and Blackstone.
Yep.
BlackRock is actually a subcategory of that same owner. We will be doing a lot more open investigations on those two companies. But just to keep that in mind, those are technology or minerals that could be used in other corporate America products. So ultimately, this is quite alarming. Let me hand it back over to you.
Okay, so the BLM land, these lands are still heavily used for recreation. The only parcels within 5 minutes of population centers may be sold, but those parcels can be used for supposedly housing development, but there's no definition or text in the bill that requires it to be able to be affordable, which means they're probably just going to become houses for the ultra rich.
Snow resorts or personal, mansions in our beautiful hills, which that's not fair. That's not what we're signing. Big fences. We have Beverly Hills in rural Colorado, basically.
Oh, definitely. So what's included in this bill now, okay? So the land managed by BLM within 5 miles of population centers, okay? What's not included is national forests, national parks, monuments, wilderness, state parks. The states that are included are Arizona, Colorado, Alaska, California, Idaho, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, Utah, and Wyoming. Did I say Washington? I don't know if I did. Sorry about that.
Washington is, and Alaska, I think, is included too.
It sure is. So how much land is now going to be sold, okay? It's up to 1.2 million acres will be sold, okay?
But the
that
numbers
is huge.
Have been saying up to 400 and I think 60 million acres.
It definitely can go that high.
That doesn't make sense with
because
the
the way that they put it in here is by percentages. So it's going by a percentage, not an actual acreage.
And they probably haven't all been surveyed. This is all from drone footage and how much land parcels.
Exactly. And there's no actual active map as of right now showing you what land is up for sale.
Yeah.
So they're
not even telling us what is for sale.
Even in Senate, they're not even communicating in the Senate of how much land is for sale. They're deciding our future land sale off of what they don't even know or understand. So right now, everyone that is a hunter, angler, hiker, backpacker, camper, skier, anyone who likes to do like side-by-sides,
it could even include tolls to go through certain areas because of the easement that they could basically control who comes through their land. We could have toll roads all through Colorado, which is what California did when they sold their lands off.
Yeah. So why does this matter? It's a permanent loss of places for recreation, wildlife, and grazing for our agriculture, guys. It's low sustainability. Less than 2% of parcels are near towns or buildable. So what are they going to use this for? Why do they have that much amount of acreage for sale if less than 2% can even be actually built on? And the proceeds mainly boost the treasury, okay? Only 5% of the money that is sold from these lands go back to the counties or the places that they're from, and they can only use them for the backlog of maintenance that they haven't, the federal government didn't keep up with in the first place. So it's not like this money is going to be able to go to making things better in the sense of the things that are new. These are things that have been neglected for a long time. Yes. Let's see. So these lands also risk trails and waterways, okay? Like, it is a huge risk of them poisoning our waters for mining. If the way that we were able to just see them say that we want these states in the Western countries, that shows me that they are only after our resources, like you said. And if they're after the resources and they're stripping with this bill, they are also stripping away certain environmental regulations that have been in place for years. They're stripping them away. Our water's going to be poisoned.
They have to reroute the waterways because the way that it's set up currently, if you were to put homes or businesses or even corporations in that area, you're having to reroute the water, which a lot of it has been said in other states, including Colorado, to go uphill, which means you have to use machinery, chemical, different things to make the land reroute our waterways to the communities again, which then cost more, The infrastructure is on our backs, not the owners of those properties. It becomes the townspeople's problems to offer a way for those properties to be sold. Just so you understand.
Well, and a lot of these too, like they say that they don't include national parks and stuff like
It
that.
will. It will. They can add
they're
a second bill.
Well, they definitely can.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it borders it. So, no,
Yes.
you might not be
Yes.
able to get that land, but you can have the land right freaking next to it. So you're back at the ultra rich, because it won't be ours.
No.
The ultra rich backyards
If
will
it
be
was
right
for me
backed
and
up.
you, we would have already seen an entire real estate list of what properties for sale.
Yep, we're not
Period.
included in that.
No.
Yep. So, and a lot of them also include like many popular mountain biking trails across the region too. They're taking away our only free option of
It'd be
doing
like
anything.
putting a fence in front of the ocean in California.
Yes.
And saying you need to pay to come here.
Yeah.
Now, if you live in the following states, please get involved: Alaska, Arkansas, Idaho, Maine, Montana, North Carolina. I didn't even know North Carolina was on that list. This is new to me. West Virginia and Wyoming, which probably means that they're adding more states as they revise this bill. They want their money.
Or they're to the point where those senators are, very deep, possibly saying that we're gonna vote for this bill, because I know Montana, I have seen things about how Montana, the only reason Montana didn't get included in that bill is because Montana senator said, as long as you don't include Montana in this land grab bill, I will vote for the big beautiful bill. So Montana senator said, as long as my land is not
I don't care about the rest of the state.
Exactly. I don't care about anyone else. So that is a big red flag. Montana, call your senator. That's not cool. Get him out. He's okay with everyone else being the sacrificial lamb, but you guys, that's not how Americans are supposed to be.
This is all the nature parts of the United States that they're taking. If you look at the way that the maps are written, the trails are what they're affecting. The waterways are quite important too. If we're talking about instability in the wintertime, who's going to be maintaining those roads if they're not public roads anymore? Now they're private. So ultimately, again, it will make our infrastructure for our small rural towns all across the United States even more hard to live in.
Yeah.
It will remove trees and minerals, which then our air quality and our
Water quality.
They're going to have manufacturing hubs with doing who knows what. Have you seen the fires across the United States, people, with these lithium-ion factories all around the world that are blowing up? I mean, come on. Do we need that in Colorado? We already have forest fires. Do we need it to be done by corporate America because of the lands they bought to pay a tiny percentage of what the debt they claim we're paying off with these lands, which the numbers don't make sense.
They don't make sense at all. Actually, this bill, the biggest thing that I think the president has said about this bill is he wanted to cut the deficit. He wanted to try and not get us into any more debt. He wanted to make sure that Americans were put first. But what I don't understand is he cut all of these different areas of fundings, from medical all the way to trying to sell land.
Yep.
Not saying that he was the one that did the land, but that's what this whole bill was about. And the thing is we are adding $4 trillion to the debt ceiling with this bill.
What a stabilizer. That's not stabilization.
That's not stabilizing anything. How are we? I just do not understand how the mindset
It's
of
profit.
This. Profit. 1,000.
And it's not for the government. If these are individuals who are getting land that's valuable to our states for bigger reasons than just a pretty mountain to stare at.
Okay, and then so I also have to go into this a little bit deeper, okay, guys? This might throw you off a little bit, but I think it's important to know. So the person who is in charge of deciding who gets the land, who gets to sell off the land, and who the person that gets to buy it is the Secretary of Agriculture. Now, she is Brooke Rollins, okay? Trump hired her, and the president did, and she actually was the leader of the Texas Public Policy Foundation, which is linked to the Heritage Fund and Project 2025. She is in charge of that now. So
they're not on the list. Texas is not on the list, folks.
And so you really have to think about it. What are these people doing?
Destabilizing our states.
Yes, ma'am. They are destabilizing and transferring this wealth to the ultra wealthy. There is no more little man here. We are no longer even to have our public lands here to be able to take our kids hunting or fishing
or camping.
We have lost so much from our ancestors on how to survive over the last 2 generations, and they are going to take the land. So if something were to happen, we don't even have any land that is free
And
for
we
us
don't have
people.
any rights to what they do on that land.
And we can't be able to be sustainable if we needed to. If it were to become like a collapse,
Yeah.
that's far out
Yeah.
there. But if something
Right.
like that were to
not
happen,
so far now.
I mean, it might not be, but we're screwed because then we can't even get on that land. Because like whenever I think if shit were to hit the fan in my little town, I
Right.
have so many areas to go to. I was born and raised in this valley,
Yeah.
and I know all the ways to get out of here. I don't need I-70 to get out.
No.
I know of a way to get out, and I know how to be sustainable. I know how to keep my family survived. That's not a problem. We have wonderful resources in here that we can live off of the land. If they sell this BLM land, it kind of blocks us in. How are you supposed to get into those other parcels of land if all of it around it is sold? Unless they do an easement, and I doubt they're going to do an easement for the Old
They'll
Trail
put up
Bridge.
tolls for private owners. They will use the land to make a tax for whatever they want to tax on it, and then they'll use it for tolls. Tolls are basically to travel around the state, you're blocked in.
Yep.
There are tolls, and I have to keep mentioning California because they are on the list as well. They already know what has happened to Southern California. Northern California started to be bought up slowly on those inland areas. It's the same structure. I lived there for 9 years. I can tell you that these people who offer tolls in cities that are outside skirts, they're usually behind about $4 to $9 a toll to go back and forth.
That's
and you
crazy.
get stuck in it. You can't leave the toll without paying the toll to get out.
And that's crazy because we paid.
circle.
We paid for the tolls. We paid for the roads, and we're still being.
So
we
the
still have to pay.
Eisenhower Tunnel
Yeah.
is the one that separates us from basically what land is being sold right now. If you look at the map, everything from the east of the mountains are not for sale. Denver's safe. Now we have Lookout
Boulder's safe,
Mountain.
yeah.
We have all these areas. Those are still
Estes Park is fine.
they're
They'll
still
be good.
very, very, very open.
And the thing that's terrifying, so like whenever I look at, so like I have this Onyx Hunt map.
Yeah.
It shows all of the public land. It shows whether that's BLM or United States Forest Service, and it shows you also who the owner is from all these different plots around. I think that's amazing because you
Yeah.
can say, hey,
Yeah.
if like you're hunting and something happens, you can contact the owners to that property. Hey, my buck ran over there and died on your land. Can I get on there to be able to do that? If these big companies come in and
Corporate.
do that,
Yep.
there's not going to be someone to be able to call.
No.
It's going to be some random
HR
LLC.
department and
Yeah.
in regards to another department, and if it's basically hidden behind an LLC or an entity, that's a problem.
Mm-hmm.
And us, we can't even. You're basically fighting with neighbors with tons of money who can buy you out and will.
And the thing is there's no fighting them because they won't even be here. They will have that land and it will just
It could
sit.
be international. There are no logistics. I said it in the last podcast. We could have foreign powers owning our state and literally push us out of these towns for their money, for other countries. Are you hearing me, people? We're not even the oil that, correct me if I'm wrong, the oil that we pull out of the ground, natural gas does help our communities, correct?
Yes.
But the oil is sold.
Yep, the oil is not even refined.
How much
here in
do
the
you
United
pay
States.
for gas that you last paid fuel?
Fuel, I think today I was going to get some. It was $3.39 a gallon right now for unleaded, and I use mid-grade, so it's
We
more than
haven't
that.
got, even during COVID days, and I just need to bring this in, we didn't get any discounts.
No, it was still like $4.
Still the whole time. Okay, and do you remember, and I must say this just to give context, we're already a community that has paid $14.99 for a dozen eggs. Did you see it?
Yep, definitely.
We pay $8.99 for lettuce at our local groceries, okay?
That's expensive. That's
Now
not.
we're supposed to pay higher taxes when these corporate entities move in and raise our taxes because the values went up for the property and the minerals. That's what happens. That's why our areas did not want Walmarts and big corporations moving in. We barely got Starbucks, and McDonald's took so long.
Yep.
So we're not an area that is unfamiliar with how corporate powers come in and affect how we live. It puts us in fire risk. It puts us in health risk. Our rural Colorado hospitals through this bill could easily be revoked, meaning we'd have to travel up to 45 minutes to 2 hours to a community public hospital, which again, if these easements affect all that, what in the hell are we doing? They're not trying to put in hospitals. They're not even trying to put in schools. Schools are being bought off in Grand Junction, Palisade, and in Fruita are on the list for some of these properties to be sold. I don't know if you know that, but
yeah, I believe that. I mean, it's crazy what's happening
it's
to
not
our
just going to
rural
be a
areas.
purchase.
No,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
this is not
it's going
just
to tax increases
exactly.
too.
100%.
Property values will go up, and especially out here, because if it's all for sale, then it's more valuable.
Well, and the houses that they're putting up here too
Doesn't increase our value, though.
It does increase the area.
It lowers our value.
So
'cause
we're lower class for
Yeah.
sure. Yes, for sure. But these multi-million-dollar houses, they're all of a sudden putting up on the golf course here when they're
right.
It's crazy.
Right.
This area
I
is
will
turning.
do-
Oh, look, here's a Cybertruck pulling right by.
Yeah, we're a town
we're-
that has smart cities. Do you want to speak about it a little bit, or
We
you want
can-
to wait?
I don't care. It's up to
Okay.
you.
I don't want to take you off track, but you know a lot, and
So I don't know too terribly much
Yes.
about smart cities, but I have been following it because it is terrifying. And when you look at it, there are the amount of financial backing behind the players that would like to see smart cities and mass surveillance happen. It is happening very quickly. This big, beautiful bill, if anything, that really showed me they really wanted to do that with the land grab and the AI. Because the AI is mass surveillance.
Yep.
It is the predictive policing. They are going to watch our every move. They
Yep.
want to know what we eat. They want to know how much we're drinking. They want to know how much, I don't know, dildos you bought off of Amazon.
they want to know how what your heart rate is. That's
Yeah.
literally where, I don't know if you've got the video I sent you, and I will put it in the community post for you guys, but literally JFK is wanting to implement required smartwatches for Americans.
And that's terrifying. That's the reason
What the hell?
Here, I'll show you this.
Track
So-
us once on our phone, but literally we should be able to go at night knowing that our heart rate isn't in some computer in a data center.
Well, and
which
what-
could easily be some of the reasons for buying these properties.
I mean, that's...
Utah is the data collection area.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
They're not specifying what these lands could be used for. So that's if they want the citizens to be at sound ease with what the hell they're doing, but not giving us an option, not me and you, to come to, if our town could buy out these corporate entities and even know what the hell they're trying to buy, that's not something that's transparent in this bill, which ultimately at the end of the day, as I keep mentioning, California is being transformed into a smart city. So if you want to see a model, then there's a 7-Eleven at every corner. That would have been a normal city, okay? So you would eat from there. Your dollar stores are the next version of a smart city, because you basically low income. It keeps into a bracket. So ultimately, what powers all of this technology? Lithium ion. What else would be necessary for our areas is to make it so unlivable that it pushes us out to build the smart cities. So deforestate, is that right?
Deforest. You got me messed up.
Deforestate. I can't even say it. Cutting the trees, okay, are going to make cities less and less inhabitable.
Yep.
And our area is known for its huge amounts of resources.
Yes.
We are an oil city. Parachute, Battlement Mesa is an oil city.
Yep.
They have not had the technology to frack like they want it to. We literally, I don't know how long you've been in Parachute itself, but 10 years ago, it smelled like bleach in our air. That's going to be everywhere.
So my husband, he actually worked on the fracks about 12, 13 years ago.
Okay.
He was one of the guys that had to clean that nasty
Yep.
shit out
Yep.
of the bottom of those pits.
Yep.
I had to wash his clothes in completely different washer. I couldn't do it in
Wow.
our washer because it would contaminate our
Contaminate it.
clothes and our washer and dryer. I couldn't, he literally had to come strip before
Yes,
he came in the house,
yes.
went and took a shower straight away, and he was telling me about some of the chemicals they have have to put in there that like it's like the stuff.
Do they sign waivers in case they get
I don't
sick or
think
anything?
so. No, I don't
We
think so.
got to get him on the podcast. I'm sorry. Anyway.
You know, he does definitely give a different perspective because he
Yes.
is for oil and gas.
Yes.
He was in it for the
But
long
do
time.
it safely. Don't make it
That's
so
exactly
easy
what
for people
he says.
to break
and
rules.
he says a lot of these things make sense. Like,
Yes.
you know, us cutting down some of the trees and beetle kill, we need that.
Right.
We need our forests maintained because it would help with the wildfires. We wouldn't have as many. But with it not being regulated and not showing who's the one who
It's
gets
not
to do
funding
it.
the fire department. That's not in the bill.
So it's not being done correctly. I think that they have a good idea, but it's not helping the people. It's helping the ultra rich
Yep.
at the end of the day.
Agendas.
Exactly. So I do know that one of the smart cities here in the area is Boulder, Colorado. That is actually a huge hub to become a smart city. So
Okay.
I am actually keeping my eyeballs open
Okay.
if there's going to be a big wildfire around Boulder, Colorado this year. So keep your eyes open. We might see Boulder, Colorado become a large area for a smart city.
Could that wild reservoir area be where they're going to start building right away? Because that was where the fire went on for 4 months. They're all reservoirs and it's water.
Up there on top, up on High
Is
Mesa.
that? Do we know if that is?
I don't know. A lot of that area is oil field. So a lot
so
of
that
the
would
area,
be 100% active.
yeah.
again.
So a whole bunch of these areas around here are owned by the oil field.
And I will show a picture in the video if you're watching it on YouTube. You're seeing a map right now where the reservoirs are. Please do continue.
So a lot of the land is owned by very big oil around here, and they're not selling it for a good reason, for their profit. You know, not good for us, good for them. So you know, this is a slippery slope. We have 2 days, no, 1 day. We have 1 day. Tomorrow they want to get
Just
this
share
done.
it everywhere. If you've never shared anything on your Instagram or your Twitter or your Facebook page, this is the post, because 100 years from now, you'll regret it.
Yep.
You won't be here, but your kids will feel it.
Yes. And I think that's the biggest thing is we have to stand up today for not even our children, but our great-great-grandchildren. Our ancestors worked very hard to come over here. How they did it was disgusting. I don't agree with the genocide that they did to get us here because I am very white. We don't have to continue to do it because
This
it
is
will
the natives' land, too.
Oh,
Let's be real.
It is the natives' land.
They're going to
That's-
find so much that shouldn't have been touched.
And that's
what
what's
hurts my
terrifying.
soul.
Yep. And they're just going to stir more stuff up. So we really need to stand up, take a stand, speak to everyone. I don't care. I went to Walmart today and I spoke to 2 different people about the bullshit bill going on right
And
now.
let me ask you, did they know?
They had no idea.
There you go.
They had no idea. And that's what's terrifying is I get it. It's stressful and it's confusing. Politics are so confusing. It's hard to understand what they're saying. It's hard to continue to follow it because it's back and forth all the time. But us not putting our heads in here, and
Yep.
I've been guilty of it. I've been burying my head since COVID. I'm not going to lie. COVID stressed me the fuck out. I
Well,
was
they
like,
told
this
you
is all
you
bullshit.
could die, so that was why.
I
You were
mean-
trying to live every day and to the best of your ability. We all were.
Yeah, but now has come to the point where we have to do something because their overreach and their power has gotten too strong. And our programming is showing them telling us that we don't need to worry about it. You just elect a representative and your representative takes care of everything for you. Those days are gone. We can't do that anymore. We have to be up their ass. We cannot allow them. We can't trust them. That's it. We shouldn't just not allow them. We can't trust these people. They are sheep in wolf's clothing. Or they're wolves in sheep's clothing.
Agenda
Sorry,
sheep
backwards.
with with little ties.
Yeah, so
My
I mean,
God.
we can't continue to allow this to happen. They're only going, this is small. They're starting small. They're going to get bigger. How do you know that next time it's not going to be the United States Forest Service land?
That's what I'm saying, that if they make it so unreasonable for these towns to live all around the nation, then it wouldn't be a problem when nobody can afford, because the taxes and the livelihoods, people are disappearing because there's no oversight in regards to water. Cancer in our own town, we have seen, I can say over 10 people right now that have passed away from mysterious cancers over the last 9 years of me being here.
And I can say just today. So I
Yes.
have this family friend. I'm not going to mention
No.
names. I have this family friend. She had posted a few weeks ago that her husband got diagnosed with lung cancer. I seen her today. And she had said, I said, how's it going? She
Yeah.
said, it's horrible. They found it in his bones and they found it in his brain. He's a goner. And I hate to be that
Yep, when
Debbie
it hits
Downer
your
about
organs
it, but
like
you
that,
are
it
screwed.
is.
And I can tell you,
And there's-
I've known this family since I was little. I went to school with their kids. And
Isn't
they're
right.
in their 50s.
Yep.
They're not that old.
No.
They are the most healthy motherfuckers I've ever known. They eat organic. They only eat produce and meat that is locally sourced.
Oh, no.
They take all of the vitamins that they do everything you're supposed to
Yep,
fucking do.
yep.
Everything that you're supposed to do. And he's got that. So it's like if someone like that I know that has done everything you're supposed to do is like this, you're screwed. We're so screwed.
So then is this a bigger grab for pharmaceutical companies to make bank while in the process of taking our land to give you an antidote to try to keep you alive maybe a few more years? That's not okay. The cancer research is being cut in this bill, folks. Child and adult. And funding for Medicaid, it's basically now they are the deciding measure of if you live or die. That's not what our government is allowed to do, is to sit here and decide poor people should die, rich people can survive. That's not how it works.
Yep. That's crazy. That's not okay.
The science is all backing it up that ultimately when you take away resources, you destabilize economy, you destabilize environment, and you make people basically miserable. So again, we're dealing with, you saw it in July last year, that we had freaking hail in the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
That didn't happen over 10 years ago. We've been having weirder and weirder.
Well,
and this is the state that seeds for rain. So in general, and it's snow technically. So a lot of it is like, are they going to make it miserable for us to live in these areas? Are they going to keep protecting these newfound properties that may be housing who knows what kind of technology and avalanches and all that? CDOT is who controls, Colorado Department of Transportation is who controls and maintains the roads. They control and maintain public roads. So guess what? Deforestation isn't going to be on their list, and we don't have funding for them to go do that. So it's all a ruse. All of this is to say we're helping you folks, low income, people who are disenfranchised. We'll give you a home. That's not what this bill is. There is no logistics of even square footage of those homes.
Nope.
So it's all very black and white, that it's not at all in color. We don't know what the hell is going to happen. So, I'm sorry. I had to go
No,
on this
you're
tangent.
good.
I get a little
And I
mad.
think that a lot of the times we talk about the problems, we don't necessarily talk about the solutions, okay? So I would like to touch base on some solutions, okay? So
Perfect.
one of the big ones is we talk about medical.
Yep.
He's stripping medical, and that makes it hard.
Yep.
I know a lot of people that want universal health care. I'm totally against it because we are not fixing the problem. We are making it harder for people to live. What we need to do is we need to cap these medical industries. You cannot charge this much for a CT scan.
Yep.
You cannot charge this much for a blood test. You cannot charge this much for a broken leg. You can't charge this much for anesthesia.
Yep.
We need to cap these big
We're
places.
the only country
We-
that overcharges
we
on all
should
those
be able
services.
to pay for our medical by
Yep.
ourselves.
And not
We-
go into debt and
or
not
have
go
to pay-
bankrupt.
Not have to pay thousands of dollars
Or
a month
die.
for insurance, plus the co-pays on top of that. We shouldn't have to do these types of things. And another thing for housing, we don't have enough housing. You know how many empty houses and things I see around just sitting
Yep.
here? There's tons of empty buildings we could utilize. There is up in Aspen. Those people maybe come and visit once or twice a year. Maybe.
And they go for cheap things out here.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things that, maybe a solution is talk to these billionaires. Ask them to sell their land.
Why is Mike Lee paying back his donors by promising to sell the United States lands? He has a lot of promises he's made to people. I don't see Utah being stripped.
There is a lot of land in Utah.
So what's their numbers? I'm just curious.
Let me-
Mr. Lee over here is
Yeah.
living his high life.
let me see if I can look up the Utah
But most of this has to do with his constituents that he should be listening to, which are the people of Utah. A lot of those lands that are going to back up next to certain areas, people are going to be given a check and told to move. Basically restructuring the towns with a big grab. This is how the smart cities very well could be implemented by this bill. I'm concerned about the lithium plants. I mean, I've watched on the news for days where they'll burn and burn and burn. You know, it's like I said yesterday on the other podcast, the coal mines are one thing. They have that under control to the best of their ability, but we're still in early development with lithium batteries and whatnot. This is not you burn a mountain down for the fun of it. I don't know.
Okay, so it said they reduced the acreage.
So-called. There's
Yeah.
still no actual website. Like, at least I could say when they had the Doge thing, you know, they had a website you could see the information, and then that was pulled back too. So and I have to say, with the news not reporting like they should have, and literally, I think it's 11 days is the most recent one I see Colorado put out. 11 days?
That's crazy.
11 days to not let the citizens know, but this bill has been being worked since basically January, since he got elected, when Citizens United and, not Citizens United, what is the Heritage Foundation were putting out all this Project 2025 agenda.
Yeah, and it's so hard to find stuff. Honestly, it's they're doing it so quickly that I feel like people don't really have time to look at it, digest it, and be able to put the information out because of how quick they're
And
doing
people
this.
feel little.
Yep.
We're just two people in a town who know this is going to affect our neighbors. That's it. Ultimately, we're trying to let other people. I mean, I know people all across the United States at this point. I don't see Louisiana written in that bill. Like, their oil, they're still stripping of it, you know, and that's offshore. And we know what happened with the BP spill and whatnot. So I'm not saying to not take oil when needed, but we're not trying to put up plants for solar. We're not trying to put up plants for, you know, if the town was given a portion of these rights and we could profit as agreeing to allowing them to strip our local areas and to have to pay, you know, if they were giving us some kind of a responsible explanation of what is going to happen, then I'd probably feel different. But the fact that it's all hidden and we're days away, I mean, they're pushing this bill for a reason.
Yep.
You can't be silly to assume that they've got our back, because history has repeatedly told us that government does not have our back, and now it's basically being stripped of all of its powers. So, as citizens, we move here for colorful Colorado. We're born into the state. My own son said last night when he was watching some of the videos with me that, you know, this is all he knows. Colorado is all he knows. He can't imagine what Colorado could look like in 10 years, much less 100. So when he's an old man and he comes back through here, will he even be able to go to his old house? Will this town even exist? We have ghost towns in America. It's a real thing. So, by the end of this podcast, we will be contacting our senators, our representatives, and leaving messages and helping you guys understand how you can, through the proper documentation or your own legislate. Is it totally hidden? You can't find it?
I can't find anything.
That's wild.
I can't find
It could easily be hidden right now.
Well, and it's
because
from
it's
state
in the
to
time.
state. So earlier I could see it was this much in this state, this much in this state, and it's literally only specifying that he would reverse his plan from being sold off between 2 to 3 million because it wouldn't go through. So now they're saying that it would only be up to 1.2 million acres that they're
of a
selling
percentage of 5, right? Isn't it 5%?
It's 0.5. So it is small, but it goes
Small.
from 0.5% at the minimum up to 0.75 for the maximum. So
when you're dealing with populations with 2,500 and you're saying that kind of percentages, then yeah, it's a lot of land.
Yes. especially when you go into the logistics of how much they need, because like the bill also goes into how much land they have to strip
Yep.
of the forest. So I know that it was like 250 million, I want to say, of the logging.
Okay.
And it has to be,
Which these trees are millions of years old.
yeah, so right here it says the annual quantity of timber that is 250 million board feet greater than what was sold the previous fiscal year until 2034. So for the next 9 years, that is?
10 years, I said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, about 10 years. That means 250 million times 10, because it has to be 250 more than the previous year. So if we start at 0, we have to do 250 this year, and then the year after that, we have to do 500 million. You know what I mean? So it just continues to grow and grow and grow over the next 10 years. How much is that of our forest? And that's just in one. That's in one.
What a lie.
One area. That's one county, or it doesn't even tell you
Yes.
if that's per county, per state, per area, for all of it. It doesn't say that. It doesn't specify where those logging sales need to come from.
I have to say this. The propaganda that the media and the actual representatives have spilled to us since January in regards to maybe the United States doesn't need to pay property taxes anymore. This is sick.
We shouldn't
Did you
have
hear
to.
that? They said they wanted to put that in, not in this bill, but to offer it up as a cup of tea to Americans. Well, what if you don't pay any property? What if you own your land all the way?
It doesn't matter. You still have
So
to pay
what the
for
hell?
it. Even if you own your
Yes,
house
you
all the way,
still
you
pay.
still have to pay for it.
This is okay.
Yep.
So when you buy an old parcel of land, and let's just say anywhere in the country, you have to pay the back taxes. I don't see that in the bill. Where are the back taxes for those public lands?
No.
They're not being. I also know that when you are starting, like let's say a homestead, folks, and you're going to pick a piece of property like we have out here, which would be rural Colorado, where you have nothing but mountains around you, okay? Well, you are required to put a driveway, have power, have water access. These are not required. That's not in the bill. This bill allows them to take land that normally would not be able to be built on and to do whatever you please with it. The restrictions are insane when a normal real estate property has all those other restrictions, and they must pay the back taxes even when you weren't the owner.
Yep.
Come on, that is corruption.
Yep, I agree completely.
It's insane.
So I'm going to go backwards
Yes,
on what
please.
I said. So I said that it was the 250 million boards. That's for the Forest Service. So that's no longer in there. So I'm sorry if that got you worked up. So they cut
now
out
we're
the
not
Forest
even
Service. So we
doing
don't have
what
to
the
worry
reason
about
for
that.
all of this is. Oh, I don't want to yell, but that makes me mad.
It does state that for BLM, they have to sell an annual quantity of 20 million board feet greater every fiscal year. So instead of 250 million, it's still 20 million for just BLM. Our BLM is not forest heavy.
No.
A lot of our BLM here is more desert on the western side.
Yes.
So that's going to wipe out all of the trees completely.
Yes.
And it also says that they're required to enter into at least 5 long-term contracts with private or public persons or entities for the disposal of vegetative materials on public lands. The revenue
So they're
from
trying to
these,
get rid of it.
Yeah, the revenue from this all goes to the general fund of the Treasury.
But
None
it's
of this,
$3 trillion in debt after all of this. So ultimately, they're not doing what they're saying they're doing the bill for. It's a literal lie. Mm-hmm. Big fat lie.
Yep.
Big, beautiful, fat lie.
Yep.
Sorry.
And they want to. So it also says that it requires BLM to hold annual lease sales, which are not required right now. It says that that is for geothermal leasing on there.
I don't know if you want to look at this one. You sent me this one before.
Yeah. So the BLM sales. Let's see.
And thank you to all the people who have put out this information for us. I appreciate it because we wouldn't even know where to start.
Yeah, no, definitely not. We are glad for the people that
Are trying to make some information for the people to know.
It's huge. It's awesome. And we all need to get online, like get together.
Put it on your pages,
Yep.
people.
Get it out there.
Talk about it with your neighbors.
Yep. You don't
Leave
have
it
to-
in the library. Print out what we have put and go post it on your local library. The QR codes can help those people. This is not just to Colorado.
So true.
Here's the rest of that. I don't know if you... It is designed to confuse people. There's no other way. Because if you say in the logistics... Sorry.
No, you're okay.
It just... $3 trillion with this entire bill. And everything is not helping the citizens. This is for corporate America. It's to build them bigger, greater, stronger, and less oversight. That's what this is. It's just disturbing. I will be sending out links in my community post for all the videos that I have found. And if you guys are listening that have gotten a comment from me directly, please, let's get together and let's talk about it. If you would like to be a part of the podcast, reach out to me at Mary Cannaby Blunt, MarCannablunt @gmail.com. And I'm not going to stop documenting, even if this bill does get passed. Some miracle could happen. But let's say that it does get passed. Well, we're going to show you exactly what we told you guys was going to happen. If it means I have to go from the left to the right of this United States to prove it. It's just disturbing.
So some of the things that they also, I would like to bring up environmentally of what they have repealed. Some of the things are, like, which some of them I do agree, some of them I don't. Sometimes I think, especially in us rural areas, we have big trucks. We have diesel trucks.
Yes.
We have livestock. We're
Yes.
going to be hauling stuff. And we don't have the infrastructure here or honestly anywhere in the United States for everyone to have electrical vehicles. We don't have the infrastructure.
Not even the
and it has nothing to do with it.
homes that are older have to be retrofitted for that.
And
And
it's
the
tens of thousands of dollars
Hold
to do
on,
that.
I can actually speak about this. The rebates that were in place through Xcel Energy have been revoked. I am a recipient of the rebate, the electric vehicle. It got pulled in February. I had a high emissions vehicle, an SUV, a Mercury Mariner, who was totally right for this project, which meant they would take the high emission vehicles off the land and they would give you a rebate program to use your home to be retrofitted through the Xcel program. Xcel runs through most of the country, believe it or not. I don't know how it's like both sides of the aisles now can basically make money. They could have made money on the people fixing things, and now they're going to make money on it going worse. So, just to give an example, we have a Tesla power station in our town, and that Tesla power station powers more than just Teslas. And right across the street over here, I will take a picture and post it on my community post. We have a private business that has a charging station for alternative vehicles that are not Tesla equipped. And those vehicles, that property gets a kickback every month until it was revoked from the rebate. Tesla itself was getting $7,000 off the top, along with every other. It's up to $35,000 to $37,000 in rebates. The government was giving car companies. We can do a whole separate video and talk about it because
Yeah.
you're probably going, "What the hell?"
I love listening to all this
So
information.
Colorado is the number one. The most you could get out of any other state was California, and that was $7,000. So off the top of every sale in any organization, any GMC, Hyundai, all of those companies were getting $7,000 kickbacks from the government. They should be fighting for this too, but it's in their pocket to continue to make batteries and to promote it. By 2035, we were all supposed to have electric vehicles. Well, they pushed us back. So why are we building these plants if we're not supposed to? It's for higher income people to have the electric cars and us to keep supplementing their oil reserves. That's what this is about deep down.
I mean, I totally agree with that, but we also have to look at the other side of it is we really, like, there are rolling blackouts that are
Yes.
scheduled in Arizona, California, because they
I
cannot keep
witnessed it.
up
I
with the
witnessed
energy that they're using as is. So why are they trying to push all of us to have these electrical vehicles
Nope.
when the infrastructure cannot, they can't sustain us with our ACs, let alone us with our ACs and electrical vehicles?
So could it be feeding potentially the AI system more so?
I think
could
so.
Could it be more battery powers for AI surveillance and a larger?
I think it also has to do with the fact that
Smart
they're
cities.
trying to make sure we can't go very far.
Yeah.
You have
Oh,
to
absolutely.
stop. How often do you have to stop to be able to charge your
Yes.
Tesla? How often do you have to stop for fuel?
And in cold climates, they don't work as well. So it's really wild. The battery is like 60% of what it should be in a warmer climate. But then if you understand what the fires that happened in California just now, a lot of those cars weren't able to come out the driveway. They helped with the fire. They were their personal incinerators to make the town go up even faster. Because you got to imagine these people were trying to follow the law. The law took their house, took their land. And now their lands are being basically stripped for real estate because the taxes to clean it up and all this other stuff. The government's not being helped with that. So FEMA's not a program we can depend on anymore. FEMA doesn't work for just hurricanes, folks. They work for all national emergencies in our country.
Yep,
so
that doesn't matter if it's
that's
fire,
not an
water.
international. That's not an international organization. And look, as a Katrina recipient, meaning I went through it, and I remember Red Cross gave me $100 for gas to get out of their state. That's it.
Wow.
$100. How's that going to get me to California? I had to borrow more money from Texas to California. So I can just say that all of these are guise of programs to take the money from the people, the volunteers that do the fundraising and all this other stuff. It's all to help corporate America because there is no, or a government surveillance. Like that's the only other reason we would use lithium.
I mean, it's just like the fires, I'm sorry, not the fires, that big flood that happened in North Carolina when that dam broke.
They're still intense right now.
They got no help. And not only that,
Missouri
they
as
also
well.
have
Yep.
a huge deposit of lithium and rare earth elements over there in that exact area.
Yep.
So I really think that we're, as the United States, I think that we're trying to gear up to start being more sustainable, but they're not making
Only for higher income people,
Exactly. And it's only going to hurt our land more because there's not going to be regulations because I really do think that something has happened, and this is kind of conspiracy,
sold
guys.
out.
Sorry. I don't have any proof of this, but from just like being able to critically
Time
think and
will
look
prove.
at things,
Yeah.
is it looks like that America has been cut off from the rest of the world.
Yes.
Canada doesn't want to sell
No.
us lumber. We're
No.
trying to log.
Yep.
China and Russia and Saudi Arabia now and Iran, all of that going on, we're not going to have any fuel. There's a huge push for natural gas and oil here now.
Yep.
I really do think that there is something way bigger that they're not telling us that is going on, and that is why they're stripping these, they don't care about the air. They don't care about the pollutants going on for our environment because there is going to be such a demand for it when we don't have any more to build houses, to heat our homes, to drive. There is something very big going on, or else I really don't think that they would put this in the bill.
And I also, I don't have any proof other than I know we're currently at a war, but I will say out of my own mouth, not you didn't say it, I said it. Ultimately, how do we know this isn't to make our wars bigger and bolder? Because I hate to put it this way, the states that are being stripped of their resources are great states to make missiles, to hide missiles, all of that. So I don't know. Nuclear, where do you keep nuclear bombs, folks? Use your brain. Underground.
Well, and I have to say, the amount of uranium that is here in Colorado, like on this side of the state, is huge.
It's dangerous.
It's so huge. So huge.
And we're close to military bases, so it would make sense they'd want it close to their bases if they're going to expand their military.
Yep.
The infrastructure is what it is. And ultimately, the resources are here. They're deciding what it can be used for, not the people. So, and it's such a crazy little sneak it across the people without their knowledge. When we voted for our representatives, they're supposed to be on the red alert They're not supposed to constantly be campaigning for their next election. The midterms are coming in November, and ultimately, I can promise you, at least myself, hopefully, others in the community can come forward and speak of their own experiences, but this is a bigger travesty of misinformation that is allowing people to just basically condone the behavior of our government. So ultimately, I don't know what's going to happen by November, but I can say tomorrow we'll know where we sold out by our government.
100%. And I think that this is going to be really telling. And I think that this is going to lead to an uproar. At least I hope it does. I'm not saying that we need to get violent.
I think a lot of people are gonna
think that
leave,
we
too.
need
Yeah.
to get loud. Our ancestors, at least me, I can feel that energetically. They fought hard to get me here.
Yeah.
This is not how they expected it to be, though.
Mm-hmm.
And they also don't want me to leave. As much as I feel it in my bones, I know this is not the place that is good for us.
Well,
there's something fighting even harder in me to say, no, you're going to stand your ground. This is the land that you were raised on. This is the land that you were born to. And you need to fight for it, because if you don't, who will?
Yep. And ultimately, it's not a political conversation. This is across the aisle about sustainability and safety. So if without knowing what the heck our government's doing, we can't make an informed decision as citizens. So again, it all falls on our as the constituents, it falls on our representatives of the House, the Senate, all of the members of Congress have to vote that this is not what we want. Trash this bill, please.
Please. One more thing, I think that it's important to say that, like Rachel was saying, it's not one side, it's not the other.
No.
The hippies can say we want the land. The Republicans can say we want the land. And I think that the Republicans and Democrats can also say we don't want to be mass surveillanced by AI and not have any way to regulate it if something were to go bad in the next 10 years. I think that we can all agree, as a human species, this is detrimental to not just us in our lifetime, but to our great-great-great-grandchildren.
They're reversing 200 years of progress. They're reversing 200 years of miners' families in our area who literally their wagon broke and they had to settle, and they did the best they could, and they made a town out of it. So these towns that are up here, I'm speaking for the people who can't anymore.
Yep.
200 years ago, they knew the beauty of this area. We weren't going to be Denver. We're nothing like Denver.
No, we have a completely different mindset and a totally different reality from people. And I think that's the biggest thing to speak on. Like, as a Colorado as a whole, I think we're purple. We show up blue because of these big cities that are here.
Because corporate America owns a lot of this part of...
Exactly, but at the same time, we are not. We are purple. We don't care who you want to have sex with. We don't care if you have guns. We don't care if you as long as you're not harming anyone else, we don't care. We mind our own fucking business. We're kind to each other. We'll help each other out.
Yep.
That's what it comes down to, and that's how people need to become.
So we ask you to leave your comments. If you have questions, we'll try to get you those answers. If you have any information about your area and we've mentioned it, please leave a comment. We want to actually make that public for others to understand, which you do know as well. And ultimately, we're not going to sleep on this. So even if it does get passed, like I said, accountability is what it comes down to. So, and I think I have to say this. I think a lot of the reason it's not put out there publicly is they don't want people picketing on that land.
Oh, absolutely not.
They don't want people standing there like we did from the 60s and putting chains
They're-
on their body
exactly.
on the
They don't
bulldozer
want-
that's going to knock the tree down.
Yep. And I've been following this lady on Instagram. I think she's over in California right now. She's been tied to a tree for months. And she's trying to stop this logging company from cutting down a tree that's like 150 years old. And I absolutely love the people that can do that. I know a lot of people think it's a waste of time because everybody has their own
public land
perspective.
she's on currently.
Yeah, but I absolutely love that because you know what? I think that every human being is special in their own way.
Yep.
And I think for humans to be the same exact would be so boring. And that's how we kind of, the giver. That's what it reminds me of. Everybody has the same view. Everybody, no. that's not what makes America great. We are a mixing pot on purpose.
That's right.
We have different perspectives. We have different religions.
And we were the ones who fought to not continue to conform. That's why we got on the boat and we waited and we died, some of us coming over. So it's...
You know,
It hurts to speak about it, but it hurts not to.
Yes,
hurts
ma'am.
way more not to.
Yep, I love this saying, you gotta choose your hard. You either have it hard now or you have it hard later. It doesn't matter.
It's
gonna be hard.
unimaginable what the hard would be. That's what the scary part
Yep.
is. When there's cancers we can't even describe because they're using chemicals to pull out new, faster ways to frack or new, faster ways to pull lithium. I mean, we're in a dry area. They're going to be fails. They're going to have problems. And then who pays for our houses burning down? They're going to leave it to the public to pay. Fire department. We got one fire department in our town.
Yep.
And what did we have to do when that fire hit our mountain?
Everyone came from different areas, different states.
Nationally. Canada even helped us.
Yep.
They sent their planes over.
Yep.
So we don't have that now. They're not helping us.
Yeah, I was going
We're
to
on our
say
own.
we don't have their
We
help
did
now.
exactly what we could in the timing. Our government, not me, hell no. Our government has done everything in timing to make sure that we'll have no recourse after. You cannot ask for help after. You decided to stay. You didn't have awareness what was going around your town. That's pretty much where they work for the companies. They don't work for the people anymore.
Yep.
That's what our constituents will end up being, the employees that will have the jobs at these businesses that will literally go, oh, I want to feed my kid now. What do I do? Hand on the hand on. What else can I do?
Yep.
So it's a rock and a hard place when it comes to having to tell the truth about how freaking a ruse this is. But ultimately, without educating you folks, prepare for your bill to hit your state too. It's just a matter of time.
Yep.
Smart cities are going national. They're not in just rural Colorado and rural parts of the United States.
No, they're everywhere.
It's literally to make corporate America know they're going to get their bottom line, and the stock exchange can show the numbers they want to basically, I'd say, fudge the numbers of the debt.
I mean, not only that, but they're shrinking the middle class completely. They're going to get rid of the middle class completely, so there will be no middle class.
Yeah.
It will be high class, and then there will be poverty.
And the dependents for the high class.
Just here in Colorado, I was reading a thing that said a family of 4 to be able to survive comfortably in Colorado. That's being able to go to the movies, you know, go to the pool
I haven't
with
went
your
to
kids.
movies in 10 years. I can't afford it.
Precisely. $256,000 is how much you would have to make as a family of 4 to be comfortable here in Colorado.
What is our minimum wage in Garfield County?
Garfield County, I believe, is 12. Let me see.
It's so disgusting. It's misinformation put on a big Heritage Foundation fucking poster board. That's, excuse my French. And I think I'm going to have to cover Project 2025 now because it's just being forced at that point.
So, the minimum wage is $14.81.
That's a miracle.
Yeah.
What's the national? I think it's 7 or 8. I might be wrong. And maybe that's what I need to do is just have a sit down and explain to you guys what is it.
$7.25. You can get a gallon of milk.
Can't even get that.
A gallon of milk is like $4.
I've paid $7 for my special milk.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I'm just using
yeah,
my
you're-
mind is like I can only afford great value cheap milk, which is like $4.
What's the most eggs you saw? Because I saw $14.99.
So I'm not gonna lie, I am so blessed. I have a wonderful local egg lady,
Thank
and
God.
I only pay $4 a dozen.
That's
So if
a
you need,
miracle. I
if
don't
you
need
need
them,
some,
but yeah.
okay, yeah. I was gonna say
I'm growing
total
garbanzo
eggs.
beans for my egg replacement, people.
Yeah, but no, eggs are. I was looking at the grocery stores though. When my egg lady didn't answer me, and I'd be like, "Damn, I need some eggs. I want to make some cookies." Those were at least $9 to $12.
I'm gonna put the pictures in this of our Clark's empty.
Yeah.
Have you seen them?
I was just up there the other day, and it was
that
like
I took.
Maybe not. I just went up there the other day and was like, "Oh my gosh, all
So
of the
we're gonna have a
freezers
live
are down
reaction.
again."
Just hang tight, keep people busy for a moment here. Let me just show you this because I think if you have not seen it, I've been documenting since January, folks. Technically December, but
Well, and Clark's the one
on.
that we have here
let me.
in
Can
town.
you go to Instagram and
Yes.
I will look up my shit.
Yeah.
So sorry, guys, you're just gonna have to be on the line. But this is, you know, if you're not documenting your local areas, then you should, because it's going to affect all of us. Do you honestly believe that your food only comes from your state? No, honey. Meat comes from Colorado and other places. Vegetables for us come from Canada, Mexico, California, and I believe some of Carbondale. We have a little bit of resources out here, but that's the brands. We look every time, so I may just start.
That's crazy. Yeah, your post from April, right?
Did you see Chronically Designed? Yes, that's the one.
Yeah,
look
that's
at
crazy.
that.
And I was just
And
up
I
there.
have pictures of the $8.99 lettuce, so I will include that. It's not a farce.
So the crazy thing is about Clark's Market is it's actually privately owned by a guy in Aspen.
Yes.
I worked up in Aspen a couple of years ago, so I was able to go up into Clark's and kind of see what that
It's
one was
different
about.
produce, too.
It is
Better, much
lovely. It's beautiful there. And you know what's
Clean.
crazy is they actually have cheaper groceries up in Aspen than they do here. The same.
So they're
things-
selling us the rotten food.
Yes,
Got it.
they're moving down the foods that they don't pick from up there and selling them
So we
for
get the
even more expensive.
turnip truck.
Crappy. Yes, exactly. That's exactly what's happening. And it's because he is a
He
multi-billionaire.
doesn't care.
Yes, exactly.
He
of the
just wants
people.
to make sure he gets the poor people's money.
Yep. And the crazy thing is too is so like whenever their coolers went down and stuff, I was like, "Are you guys donating
that's
any
happened
of
too
this
many
food?"
times.
And they straight up said, "We cannot donate any of that food because our insurance won't give us any money if we donate
Yeah,
the
they
food."
don't get any. Yeah.
That's crazy. So they would rather it go to waste
Yes.
than help families in need. In
Well,
our
and just so
poor
you're aware,
community.
in this bill, in regards to the USD and all that other fun stuff, it doesn't just affect food. It affects people having the access to their farms to keep it going when the droughts happen and whatnot.
Yeah.
And the water rights that are going to be around our town here, well, when it's taken and diverted, it lets less access to that water. So they're already struggling. So most farmers in at least the United States that I know of, and we can do a whole separate podcast on
Yeah.
it, but they are basically selling off their water rights because it makes more money than selling the food.
Yep. People are becoming desperate. They don't know how else are they supposed to keep these because a lot of these farms have been generational farms.
Yes.
And they cannot
And it's
keep
a
up
miracle
anymore.
they're even growing.
So
we're such a dry area.
So like my family is in Nebraska. We have a family homestead
know all
from
about
the farming
Yep.
in Nebraska. My family, like I said, they're still there. They're still
Yep.
ran by the Reinke's. And my cousin over there, he said it has never been this dry. He was saying, please pray for rain back in April, March. He said they have never been that dry before, and he is terrified about what's going to happen. And, you know, unfortunately, he doesn't...
There's no safeguards. With the USD, they basically safeguard those people to make sure they
Yeah.
can still run their farm the next time, because they still pay taxes on their land. They still pay all the
Yep.
financial obligations that the state requires them to be a public access for agriculture. It's homestead though, so it's just for them, or do they sell off some of the produce?
No, they do. They are a huge component. They get money from the government whenever their crops die because I believe he does soy and wheat. Those are the two biggest ones that he does. And some years are okay, and like this one, he's terrified.
In our area, just so you guys are aware, if you have a SNAP benefits, then you usually can go use them at the local farmers market. Well, if the farmers markets can no longer be, these are just empty promises to the people who are trying to feed their kids. WIC has been cut too.
Yep. And it's so sad because while I do understand some of the mindset of people, whenever they're like, you know, people are just milking the system and they don't want to get jobs. I can understand that perspective that you have because I
They
know a
go
lot
after
of
them.
Well, and a
Yeah.
lot of hardworking Americans feel jaded because they
Oh,
feel
yeah.
so. Like for a long time, my husband, even when we were struggling so bad, he had it in his mind that if we asked for help, whether that was medical or food
Yes.
from the government,
Yes.
that something was wrong with us inherently.
Yes.
It has been programmed into the blue collar
Yep, yep.
class. Sorry.
Don't ask for help.
Do not ask for help because you are a detriment to the system. So it took.
But when you need it, still don't ask for help.
Precisely. And so that's where we start to have this divide of the, you know, the working class. We do need that help.
Yep.
Even growing up, you know, I didn't have medical benefits. I didn't go to the dentist. I didn't go to the doctor. I didn't go get my vision checked. I didn't do any of that unless it was free at the school when they were doing a weird testing with your ears. So that was the only thing that I ever got to do, and it was because my mom made just a little bit too much to qualify for help, but couldn't afford to be able to have health insurance on her own. And that's where we're at as a family. We don't qualify for help from the state, but we also we can't afford $2,100 a month to have our family of 4 on insurance. Plus, we're not sick right now. Like, sure, it would be lovely if we never got sick and didn't have to use it. That's what it's for, is in case something were to happen, they're supposed to be able to kick in. But we can't afford that much money every month to be able to have health insurance when we don't use it.
Well, and I'm pretty sure this is the bill. If it's not, I know that it's part of the bigger scheme. I'm going to call it like that. That your child who was under 18 now is no longer dependent when they're 7 or older.
Wow.
Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
We can
I
cover
think
that
I did
pretty
see,
hard.
I honestly did.
And that's where the medical, I have currently been paying for my own child's medical since January, which is weird. He's only 9. That's not fair, I think, in regards to if he needs to see a doctor for a cold, I got to go to the emergency room now. How does that make sense?
It doesn't make sense.
It's insane.
What's crazy too, so like I don't have medical insurance right now.
Right.
I went to the doctor. I don't remember what it was for.
I can tell you a story too in a minute. It'll blow your mind.
And my bill from the doctor was about $114.
Okay.
Not that bad.
Right.
It was going to be more for me to use my insurance. They were going to charge my insurance $140 for the appointment versus me paying out of pocket $114.
Right.
And honestly,
like you said,
I would much rather pay $114 where I'm at right now because I'm not sick. I don't need treatments. I would rather pay that $114 when I need to go in like, oh shit, I got strep throat. I need some antibiotics. I would rather do that than pay the over $2,000 a month for something that I'm not using.
Right. Well, here, this is a true story. I haven't told you guys if you're listening on the podcast. I'll talk about it more in depth because it's absolutely necessary. But I was on the Depo-Provera for over 15 years. I've had headaches for now going on 9 years, and they don't know why I have headaches. And they have linked it back to tumors, brain tumors, a very unique brain tumors. So I was told by my own primary to go and get a brain scan. It took 3 months for the pre-authorization to go through. I went for that brain scan, and the day I went to check in at Rifle Hospital, they told me that it had been revoked and that I needed 6 weeks of physical therapy on my brain
to be able to get it done,
to have an authorization for a scan to see if that's why I'm having headaches. What do I do to make my brain better if I'm already going to figure out if I have a tumor? You don't find out that you have a tumor without a CAT scan, an MRI.
Nope.
So it took another 2 months to get those. And then in that process, just so you guys know what rural Colorado's dealing with, I was not supposed to drive for this event. So I had to go and find a driving service that my Medicaid would pay for. Well, Medicare paid for it, not Medicaid, and I found a driving service. What happened? They got repealed. MediRides is the company, and they got repealed. So then I had to wait another month. That gave me 6 months to find out if I had a brain tumor.
Well, and if you did
and I don't have one.
I'm so glad to hear that.
But I'm scared because these tumors can still pop up at any time after you've taken the Depo-Provera shot after 7 years. I took it for 15.
Yeah, that's terrifying.
That's why I'm not afraid to talk about the medical side of this bill, because if you take away health care, you get sicker people who don't even know they have a brain tumor. Yeah. I was having speech issues, cognitively, couldn't even speak. We don't still know what is the issue, and I'm still having headaches, and my headaches last for 5 days at a time.
Yep, that's terrifying.
How do you live?
You don't.
I have 2 days of the week I get to be a human.
Yep.
So You didn't even know about that.
I didn't
I bet
know.
you're mad with me.
I mean, I am, because I
How
also...
do you work your brain out?
You
what
don't.
the hell? 6 weeks?
It's crazy how they have these, like, I could go totally...
They're Grim Reapers.
Yeah,
They're
they
sitting there
really could.
deciding who lives and dies.
We could totally have a whole segment
We
on
will.
the medical industry,
We have
because
to.
I
It's
feel very
infuriating.
strongly.
It's infuriating.
Yes.
And ultimately, I just went to a nutritionist about 2 weeks ago, and I have gastroparesis, which a lot of you guys who follow my channel may know that is a disorder that eventually gives you a feeding tube. So I'm 9 years diagnosed, 14 years dealing with this illness.
Wow.
It has caused me to be as little as 84 pounds. The medical professionals here have no idea about nutritional, even at a dietitian's office.
Yeah.
Didn't know, like, for instance, I'm just going to give you a simple example, folks, that cherries are anti-inflammatory. And when you eat dried cherries, they actually help your stomach be
Yeah.
less in pain.
Yeah.
Mint helps you be less in pain. I was told not to eat any fruit, any vegetables. This is my diet. Permanently, they told me I should eat. Are you ready?
Yeah.
This is the medical professionals. I have a year that I have to go to this dietitian and see her about all these things, which Medicaid could cut it, so I may not have a year, but ultimately I can have toast, Swiss cheese, applesauce, and peanut butter. That's all, and bread. That's all I'm allowed to eat. No rice, no anything else. That's it. That's my diet. No
How is that?
no liquids, anything, because fiber is bad for it. So I go and I start doing my own research about, like, what natural foods already do natural anti-inflammation, and ultimately some of the things I was already eating, I knew I felt better when I ate it. So it's like we can do a whole podcast on that, but just so you guys know that even the medical professionals are still going by the old guidelines. So unfortunately, if it was like I said earlier, if this whole thing was to make America greater, stronger, and more
And healthier.
profitable, if us Americans could see the difference by the land we said take it, but I still have access because I'm a Colorado resident. See this ID right here? I can drive through your city. I get cannabis industries here. If you go to your local cannabis dispensary, then you're allowed to have a discount because
Yep.
you're local. That's not what this bill has anything in for potential activities, grocery stores, whatever. There's nothing for the local people. You're just pushing them out. That's what this is about. Medically, physically, and long term.
Yep.
It's for profit. All of it's for profit. Sorry.
Nope. I think
I'm angry.
I am too. And we should be angry. I think that we need to be angry and organized.
Yes.
Because women, we have a wonderful way of being upset and being able to make our point. We communicate very well.
Yep. When it hurts in our belly, we know when it's time to go. If you get what I mean.
Yep.
And,
Your intuition knows.
ultimately, I'm just at a place in my life where ultimately we're going to keep the positive and we're going to fight against the negative. I don't know how else to say that. So ultimately, you guys, please share out this. If you're still listening, please listen a little bit further. I'm going to end this part of the recording, but we're going to record in a moment and call our senators, and basically you get to hear exactly how easy it is. So thank you for listening. Share out this podcast. Please put your information below if you'd like to get involved. Otherwise, everybody say a prayer. That's all we can do at this point. Put the
Definitely.
good energy out there and say no to selling our lands across the nation.
Say no to being mass surveillanced.
Yes.
Say no to cutting the medical, what would you call that? The medical resources for the poor.
For anyone.
Yeah.
I mean, you shouldn't have to go bankrupt because you're ill.
Precisely.
Period.
Yep.
And ultimately, you shouldn't go bankrupt because you're ill because your city sold off your safety. I don't think that makes any sense to me.
Nope.
So,
Thank you
all.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for caring. This is how humanity gets together. And
Yep.
this is how we survive as a species.
So send this out and stay tuned. If you keep listening, we will add the end of this, our call to the senators and to our public officials.
Representative Elizabeth Velasco is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Hi, Elizabeth. I'm the western slope of Colorado. I am calling as a Constituent. I'm writing to urge you to oppose any version of the budget bill that includes provisions to sell off our public lands or allow federal government to ban states from regulating AI. While the initial proposal may have been removed, Senator Mike Lee now wants to target up to 1.2 million acres of BLM, while within 5 miles of the populated centers. These BLM lands are some of the most accessible and beloved public spaces in the country. They offer free and low-cost places to hike, camp, hunt, fish, and connect with nature, while also providing critical habitat for wildlife, safeguarding clean water, and protecting sacred indigenous sites. Selling these lands off or opening them to extractive industries is a direct threat to the outdoor heritage of millions of Americans and undermines the efforts to build a cleaner future. Allowing the government to ban states from regulating AI for 10 years sets Americans up for mass surveillance, predictive policing, and there is zero accountability if the systems are wrong. Please stand up for the public lands that make our communities strong. Stand up for American citizens' privacy. Oppose any provisions that undermine them, and vote no to any budget bill that puts them or us at risk. Thank you, Amber.
Sorry, Senator Bennett Grand Junction main line is not available. Record your message at the tone. When you are finished, hang up or press pound for more options.
Dear Senator, I am calling you to urge you to oppose any versions of the budget bill that includes provisions to sell off our public lands or allow federal government to ban states from regulating AI. While the initial proposal may have been removed, Senator Mike Lee now wants to target up to 1.2 million acres of BLM lands within 5 miles of populated areas. These BLM lands are some of the most accessible and beloved public spaces in the country. They offer free or low-cost places to hike, camp, hunt, fish, and connect with nature, while also providing critical habitat for wildlife, safeguarding clean water, and protecting sacred indigenous sites. Selling these lands off or opening them to extractive industries is a direct threat to the outdoor heritage of millions of Americans and undermines the efforts to build cleaner, healthier future. Allowing the government to ban states from regulating AI for 10 years sets Americans up for mass surveillance, predictive policing, and there is zero accountability if the systems are wrong. Please stand up for the public lands and make our communities stronger. Stand up for the citizens' privacy. Oppose any provisions that undermine them, and vote no on any budget bill that puts them or us at risk. Thank you, Amber.
Senator Michael Bennett de Silva speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, I'm calling to urge Senator Bennett to oppose any version of the budget bill that includes provisions to sell off public lands or allow federal government to ban states from regulating AI. While the initial proposal may have been removed, Senator Mike Lee now wants to target up to 1.2 million acres of BLM lands that populate within 5 miles of the populated centers. These BLM lands are some of the most accessible and beloved public spaces in the country. They offer free or low-cost places to hike, camp, fish, hunt, and connect with nature, while also providing critical habitat for wildlife, safeguarding clean water, and protecting sacred indigenous sites. Selling these lands or